Thank you for joining us today to celebrate Senator Rosa Franklin, RN. A tribute to Rosa Franklin was organized to celebrate and recognize her for all of the work that she has done in the community, the legislature, and in nursing and healthcare. We will begin with the Share the Land acknowledgement. We'll then have words from UW-Tacoma School of Nursing and Healthcare Dean Sharon Weinsberry. We'll enjoy some footage of Rosa Franklin and Tomiko Nomura with remarks and words and sharing from Dr. Janet Pramomo. We'll then view recorded tributes, and we'll make room for a few live tributes and words. If we have enough time, we'll add some more, but there will also be a short live Q&A at the end with Rosa. How things will work in Zoom and YouTube. We do have a YouTube link for live streaming, but we ask in Zoom that you remain muted during the event. And once we get to the Q&A, those who are asking questions, we will have them come off of mute, or they will put their questions in the chat. The ones who are watching in YouTube will also put their questions in the YouTube chat, and we'll try to get to those questions. So let's start with the Share the Land acknowledgement. We recognize that all of us at UW-Tacoma learn, live, and work on or near the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people. In particular, we are situated on the traditional territory of the Puyallup. As people on this occupied territory, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the land, the ancestors who have cared for this land since time immemorial, and all our indigenous connections today. We also have the responsibility to acknowledge the histories of dispossession and forced removal that have allowed for the growth and survival of this institution. In light of this history, let us take active efforts to partner with our indigenous community members and neighbors as we continue our work together as a community of learners, leaders, and educators. So now we have the amazing woman of the hour, Senator Rosa Franklin. We have Dean Sharon Weinsberry from the UW-Tacoma School of Nursing and Healthcare. And we also have Dr. Janet Pramomo. I'll turn it over now to Dean Sharon Weinsberry.
Thank you, Shauna, for serving as our program moderator today. As we celebrate Senator Rosa Franklin, an amazing RN and legislator, citizen of Pierce County, and supporter of higher education, I want to also acknowledge her influence on both the development of the UW-Tacoma campus and certainly on our School of Nursing and Healthcare leadership and the programs that it offers. I want to share with you just a few relevant school highlights, keeping in mind that these would absolutely not have been possible without Senator Franklin's ongoing support and inspiration. So we had our commencement this weekend, and as of this weekend, the number of alums from the school numbers about 2,500. During this last academic year, our school had a couple of 200 students enrolled in 3 academic programs, a Bachelor of Science in Nursing, a Master of Nursing, and a BA in Healthcare Leadership. What's important to note too is that 35% of these students are from underrepresented minorities, and about another 17 or 18% are military affiliated. Our Master of Nursing degree program, together with our sister campus in Bothell, of course, has just been ranked as the #1 master's program in public universities in the US. That's pretty phenomenal for schools as young as UW-Bothell and UW-Tacoma. And if you want some good reading, go right to the US News and World Report and see for yourself. A number of our faculty have been outstanding this year as well. Our Dr. Wei Chow Yuen was just recognized with a UW Distinguished Teaching Award, for example. And I'm always proud to point out our school's involvement in community partnerships like the one with the Tacoma Public Schools, TCC, Multicare, and Franciscan to create and support a healthcare careers academy that's now situated at both Stadium and Mount Tahoma high schools. Our aim in partnering and supporting these initiatives is to provide equitable access to the knowledge, skills, educational experiences, and motivation for high school students who are interested in a very broad range of healthcare careers. We want to support education as well as social and economic mobility for these students and their families. We also today have to thank Dr. Janet Promomo, who shared with us months ago her vision, actually longer than that. Her motivation has been going for a while now, as has her vision of honoring Senator Franklin. Janet provided leadership in planning today's event, and she will be speaking with us in just a second. So let me share a little bit of information about Janet with you in the event you've not had the opportunity to work closely with her. So Janet earned her Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree from Russell Sage College in Troy, New York, and her master's and PhD from UW Seattle. So she's been across country because of nursing. Her work has been honored through a UW Tacoma Distinguished Teaching Award and a Community Engagement Award. She also received the Trudeau Award from the American Lung Association for her research and volunteer leadership. Dr. Promomo was also inducted into the Washington State Nurses Association Hall of Fame. Really, that is among the highest honors in Washington State. Among her interests and her areas of expertise are community health promotion, environmental health and global health, and of course, health policy. What you might not know is that Janet was among the very first faculty to initiate the BSN program at UW Tacoma, and her public health advocacy and work with organizations in the community were clear commitments from day one. She has evaluated community-based asthma services, contributed to the development of research teams, and collaborated with a graduate student to create a needs assessment that led to the development of what we now know as the Rhoda Care Chronic Disease Clinic for Low-Income Residents. For this and other work, she was honored with the WSNA Marguerite Cobb Community and Public Health Nursing Award. She was also active in the very early days of MultiCare's Nurse Camp, which also aimed to attract individuals from underrepresented populations, not just to nursing, but to healthcare roles in general. As long as I have known her, which is a while now, Dr. Janet Promomo has been active in Nurse Legislative Day, whether supporting students on trips to Olympia during the legislative session or meeting with legislators to share her nursing perspective. There's no doubt that our students have benefited greatly from these and other learning experiences. Now, if you're going to tackle a dilemma that's related to public health, Janet is really the partner that you want, whether advocating for cloth rather than disposable diapers, to improve the health of our community, or leading a celebratory event like this. Dr. Janet Promomo will serve us all very, very well. Now, while Shauna Lawson is going to return as our moderator, first let's hear from Dr. Janet Promomo, who will share with us some special perspectives and introduce Senator Rosa Franklin. Janet, we're all yours.
Thank you, Sharon, for that very generous and humbling introduction. But this event is about Rosa. Well, hi, Rosa. Hello. And thank you, everyone, for gathering with us virtually today to celebrate the achievements of Senator Rosa Franklin, RN. In my remarks, I'm going to tell you how Rosa has inspired me. I'll talk about her legacy as an extraordinary public servant, community activist, legislator, and advocate for social justice. You'll see the pre-recorded interview with her biographer, Tamiko Nomura. They discuss Rosa's perspective about the importance of nurses today, the contributions of Black women who helped Rosa along the way, and the advice that Rosa has for future generations. I want to acknowledge the foresight of the Washington State Oral History Program. For microphone on. Is there a challenge? Okay. I want to acknowledge the foresight of the Washington State Oral History Program for commissioning Rosa's biography titled Rosa Franklin, A Life in Healthcare, Public Service, and Social Justice. This beautifully written book chronicles Rosa's life and her career and includes photos of her throughout her life. I highly recommend the book. You can order it through the Washington State Legislative Gift Center. So my story with Rosa begins in 1992 when our UW-Tacoma nursing program began. Launching a new RN program for nurses who wanted to achieve their BSN was a dream come true for me because I had the flexibility to create new academic courses for adult learners. In winter quarter of 93, I offered an elective course on health policy. It included my very favorite teaching modality, an experiential learning component. So about 20 students joined me in attending Washington State Nursing Association's Legislative Day in Olympia. So I was so thrilled that Tacoma had an elected official who was a nurse that I contacted Rosa's office prior to Legislative Day to schedule a meeting. Well, Rosa made an immediate impression on all of us during our meeting with her in her Olympia office, and she's continued to do so. We knew she was a living legend. Rosa told us about her nursing background and also how important it was to bring her perspective as a nurse to others in the legislative arena. She saw firsthand how the health system was failing many, and she wanted to change that. I invited Rosa to speak at our very first Nurse Legislative Day in 1993. National Nursing Week event. You will see a picture of me, I think, with a nursing cape on and me handing a picture to Rosa of our first visit with her in Olympia. Rosa was also a speaker at our first graduation banquet in 93. So for many years, Rosa was a guest speaker in my nursing classes and my health policy classes, and she also met with students regularly in her Olympia office during Nurse Legislative Day. She encouraged nurses to move out of their own personal space and become involved in civic affairs, to be aware of who the decision makers are, and to speak up and speak out on issues of concern. She said, if nurses do not speak up, someone else who doesn't know the profession will speak for them. What nurses allow to be given up, they can never reclaim. Wise words. Rosa likely inspired one of our BSN graduates, a distinguished alumni, former Representative Don Morell, to seek public office. She's on this call today. So for almost 30 years now, with the help of students, I've collected materials about Rosa. I treasure my correspondence with her over the years, her official letters, her handwritten notes, encouraging nurses to become involved in policymaking. She wrote in 1993, I am so pleased we have the availability of this nursing program in our community. It's one that I strongly support and have pushed for. Nurses are an integral part of the healthcare team. You're here studying at UW-Tacoma for your BSN through the process of advocacy for higher education. The success of this is attributed to the hard work of many, and we will continue to go up from here. Doesn't that sound like Rosa? We'll continue to go up from here. Senator Franklin's legislative career and priorities were really highly influenced by her family and cultural values. These were education, seeing the world beyond yourself, and serving your community, treating others with respect, treating everyone with respect, and advocating. Her nursing background and her community activism provided her with rich experiences that she brought to her state legislative role. For example, early on in Rosa's nursing career, she provided obstetrical care to women at New York Brooklyn's Jewish Memorial Hospital. Many women she cared for were post-World War II refugees from German concentration camps. She witnessed the atrocities that these women had, including registration numbers tattooed onto their arms. She carried this memory with her into her lifelong work in social justice. And she also connected the horrors those women had with how the slaves in our country were treated. Throughout Rosa's career, she was able to be with her husband as well and travel with her kids in Germany and in Europe, yet another influence in her policymaking. So what were some of Senator Franklin's accomplishments? Well, when her colleagues reflect on her leadership, they mention her quiet, clear, pragmatic, yet forceful way to achieve her goals. She's a dignified listener. She brings people together to solve issues. She understands the critical connections among housing, education, transportation, employment, and health. And she keeps all people in mind when working on legislation. She collaborates very effectively with stakeholders and other groups to develop effective and innovative solutions. For example, she assured that we had trauma care in Tacoma. Senator Franklin's career and policy priorities are very consistent with some of the central concepts in public health and professional nursing: advocacy, social justice, attending to the social determinants of health, human rights, and equity. I'll quickly go through some of her legislative accomplishments. Of particular interest to nurses, she helped eliminate some of the redundant requirements for nursing credentialing, and she worked on legislation to require cultural competence training for health professionals. Near and dear to those of us in Tacoma, Sharon mentioned, she was a champion for making sure we had higher education in urban settings, including Tacoma. She's been an advocate for education, pre-K, 12, and higher ed, because all children deserve an education. Rosa addressed healthcare and access. She addressed preventing insurance from denying coverage based on genetic information, especially breast cancer. She was a women's health advocate for breast cervical health programs for the uninsured. She also worked on stricter licensing for state licensed adult, family, and boarding homes. Housing was one of her major accomplishments. In her first year in the Senate, she sponsored a bill that became the Washington Housing Policy Act, which established affordable housing and anti-discrimination policy, still very important today. I imagine this might have reflected some of her own experiences when she experienced redlining while trying to purchase her home in Tacoma in the 1950s. Rosa championed legislation to expand the rights and responsibilities of registered domestic partners, and she spoke eloquently about marriage equality when the bill was being discussed in the Senate. She addressed racial profiling, partnering in the Washington State Patrol, and succeeded in having a study of racial profiling done. She worked on equitable taxation and proposed state income tax, and also assisted with the Washington family tax exemption. She sponsored a bill that lets voters in local jurisdictions approve public financing of election campaigns. She worked on economic development, transportation issues, and environmental equity. And she served nationally on the National Environmental Health Advisory Committee. In 1995, that's way back, she requested a study to examine the proximity of solid and hazardous waste sites to low income and minority communities. One of her chief accomplishments was starting the Governor's Interagency Council on Healthcare Disparities. She viewed this council as an opportunity to bring people together and talk about issues of health equity and access to care, and also to help develop recommendations to eliminate health disparities by race, ethnicity, and gender. I'm going to shift for a few minutes to Rosa as a leader. Like many Black women leaders, Rosa translated her deep desire to make a positive difference in her community into action. This was based on family cultural background, including her religious upbringing. Black women were socialized to be independent, strong, self-reliant, confident, and assertive. The contributions of Black women have been underappreciated and overlooked for far too long. They're backbones of families and communities in the public spheres. For example, in Rosa's early years in Tacoma, she created a sickle cell clinic, a Hilltop Children's Clinic, had roles in the women's clinic, and she became a women's healthcare specialist herself. These were grassroots efforts that she contributed to address inequalities in health. She says she was standing on the shoulders of others. as her legislative career advanced. This past January, the Seattle Times celebrated Washington State's female leaders, including Senator Franklin, who helped pave the way for others. One of those is Washington State Senator Tawana Nobles, who is now just the second Black woman to serve in the Washington State Senate. And in fact, just the fifth Black senator in our state. Time for change. Clearly, the recognition for Black women's contributions has lagged, and I hope that is changing and that we do our part now. So I'm going to begin with how we've recognized Rosa. To begin with, the UW-Tacoma's Community History Project included Senator Franklin back in '95, thanks to some of our hardworking students. The history group also documents the work of the Ebony Nursing Association, and I suspect many of the members of the Ebony Nursing Association are watching today. The digital collection of these oral histories is available publicly through the UW libraries. So some other accolades. Rosa Franklin received an honorary degree, Doctor of Public Service from one of her alma maters, University of Puget Sound. In 2016, Healthy Generations created an award in her honor, the Senator Rosa Franklin Award for creating health equity in public policy. She received the first one. In 2019, UW-Tacoma honored her with the UW-Tacoma's Legacy Dream Award. She's featured in a 2020 publication called Badass Women in the Pacific Northwest. Included in that book are Washington Senator Patty Murray, Sue Bird, and Megan Rapinoe. Rosa's home state of South Carolina also honored her by publishing a picture of her and her biography in the state calendar. In February of this year, Metropolitan Park District of Tacoma renamed Franklin Park in honor of Senator Rosa Franklin. How many nurses have parks named after them? I don't think too many. The park name recognizes Rosa's support of the Park District and her tireless advocacy for healthcare and social justice in Tacoma. I can't wait to go there. Another way that the contributions of Black women like Rosa are finally being recognized is through a newly established Rosa Franklin Legislative Internship Program, a scholarship that's going to provide funds for Washington State students who participate in the Legislative Internship Program in the state Senate or House of Representatives. So this symbolizes the way in which Senator Franklin has left a legacy that opens doors to the legislature for all of us. Here at UW-Tacoma, we have a scholarship in Rosa Franklin's name. In fact, we've had one since 1993. But we now have the new Rosa Franklin Endowed Scholarship Fund, which is going to create a permanent fund to honor her legacy. It's fitting that Washington State Nursing Association was the first organization to contribute to this endowed fund. Senator Franklin once said, "I can say that my forebears did not have the opportunity that I have, and they were the ones who helped make it possible for future generations that come after me. So I want to try to continue to make it possible for them." She paved the way for so many women of color to participate fully in public life. Rosa has always understood that change happens incrementally, that it's imperative to maintain persistent focus even when steps towards the goal are frustratingly small. She demonstrates patience, never gives up. She never forgets her goals, and she never leaves anyone behind. She lifts others as she climbs. Rosa Franklin's lifelong commitment to social justice is an inspiration. That's a quote from the author of her biography, Tomiko Nomura. So now I'd like us to watch the pre-recorded interview between Rosa and Tomiko. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Tomiko Nomura, and I am here with Senator Rosa Franklin, who really needs no introduction, but was the first African-American woman to be elected to the Washington State Senate spent 42 years as a nurse, and then another 20 years in the Washington State Legislature, and has a number of accomplishments after that. So we're just going to get started. I have a few questions that we'll just talk about briefly. The first one is if you could just share a tiny bit about growing up in South Carolina and a challenge that you faced during that time.
Growing up in South Carolina was fun, and it was also one of where it really got rooted into what it really means to have community service, what it means to have goals, and what it means to work and study and keep moving and not let anything negative stop you from what you wish to do. During the area of segregation, of course, we know they were but we were segregated against. However, as a child, I was not involved with that. My parents were. They taught me also to respect each other, respect a person regardless of who you are, what you are, where you came from. And my goal was to become educated and to move on and try to make the world a better place.
Well, you have absolutely done that, of course. We're going to fast forward to the present day and the COVID-19 pandemic. It certainly spotlighted why the nursing profession is such a noble and meaningful profession to pursue. What would you say about this and why more people should be in the field of nursing?
Because it is really a profession of giving. It's a humanitarian type profession. It is one that's caring for people regardless of who you are, where you came from, the color of your skin, and also that keeping communities well, teaching you how to take care of yourself. And so nursing is one, as Florence Nightingale has said, and has said forward early at its founding, that you really care, you're compassionate, you then teach others. Nurse is one who is well trusted and well respected in his or her community. And that patient, if you will, or client, will express or say things, share with you things that you would not share with anyone else. So nursing is, once a nurse, we say always a nurse.
Well, that's certainly true for you. We are going to, given all of that's going on, what role do you think that Black women play now in movements around equity, change, and justice?
Well, Black women have always been on the forefront. They've always been there. Mm-hmm. However, they were overlooked. They were not placed in history. They were not given the appropriate place in history for what they've done. In the 21st century, with this generation of young women, and not only young women, women of middle age, women who have been on the front for a long time saying, enough is enough. We are not going to take it anymore. We're going to be up front. We are going to bring people together, those who wish to come along with us. And Black women have always spoken out. We can go from Harriet, from Tubman, we can go back in history with so far back in history of the part that Black women have played. So within this 21st century, I would say that Black women know your history. Once you know your history, then you build on what has been accomplished, and then you move forward and stay moving forward. These young women who have come back and recognized and said, Black lives matter. There were things that happened that had been happening for a long time. Now it's on the forefront. And women will be there along with our supporters and others, women of color, women, white women, all women, who in turn will say, let's come together and let's work for a America.
Wonderful, thank you. Folks would like to know who the people were who helped you during your work and your efforts, since you have spent a lifetime helping others as a nurse and as a state legislator. Who are the people who helped you out?
Oh my, there were so many, because during my entire life as an adult and prior to that, it was always bringing people together, working together. And so I had really built a really strong relationship within my community and with the many groups that I had served with, whether it was in civics, whether it's governmental, whether it's in our nursing group, and being a good listener. And so with those groups that I had been with for so many years, there are names. If I begin to call the names, I may leave someone out. But one I will say was Judy Fortier, who is now deceased, who was staunch. Then, another was Rosie, who really encouraged me to run for office, which I had not intended to run for. And of course, within associated ministries. So all the main groups are one in which helped me and supported me while I was in the legislature.
Great. Just to wrap up our conversation quickly, what would you like this generation and the next generation to understand? You touched on a lot, so anything else?
About this generation and future generation, first of all, know where you came from, know your history, know your background, and know that the issues that we face today are not new issues. They are issues that have been around. We have accomplished a lot, but the work is not over. As the song says, it's not over till it's over. So what you will do is you keep moving, you bring others along, you lift as you climb, and do not forget those who helped you along the way. And so for this generation and for future generations, keep moving. Don't stop. And you cannot afford to sleep either, because while you're sleeping, somebody else is thinking of what you can do in order to put blocks in your way. And so for future generations and this generation, keep moving, keep building, bring people together and not separate them. Social justice is a very important issue for us.
Well, you certainly taught me many of those things just in the short time that I had working with you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Best wishes.
Thank you for that beautiful interview. Now, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge our elected officials. We do have some pre-recorded tributes to share with you. And there we have elected officials, Mayor Victoria Woodards. We also have Congresswoman Marilyn Strickland. And I just wanted to also acknowledge those who are attending today. We have Speaker of the House, Lori Jenkins from the 27th Legislative District, and she is attending. So I just wanted to make that known and acknowledge them and the work that they're doing. Thank you. So now we will have some pre-recorded tributes, and I'll turn it over so that we can go ahead and show those tributes.
Hi, I'm Victoria Woodards, and I have the pleasure and honor of serving as mayor for the city of Tacoma. But let's be clear, that pleasure and honor wouldn't have been mine if people like Senator Rosa Franklin hadn't gone before me. You see, I understand the importance of people laying the foundation so that other people can walk through, or in this instance, stand on their shoulders. Senator Franklin has been a driving force in the success of our community. And I know that she had to go through a lot to get where she is. But I'll tell you what, if she hadn't done what she did, I wouldn't be standing here today. So Senator Franklin, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for always supporting me whenever I call. And thank you so much for telling the absolute truth to me whenever I ask for it. I know your shoulders might be a little bit more heavy these days as I've sometimes gained a few pounds, but I want you to know that I stand on your shoulders, that I represent many young men and women who have experienced success in this community because of the fight that you endured in order for us to have this opportunity. Thank you so much, and I love you.
It is my distinct honor and privilege to pay tribute to my friend and colleague, Rosa Franklin. Rosa is a living legend. She has accomplished so much in a broad array of arenas. Today, I'm going to touch a little bit on her profession as a nurse. I'm a member of the Ebony Nurses Association of Tacoma, and Rosa is a long-term member of that organization. She has been one of the leaders and driving force, perpetuating the organization and making it relevant to nurses today. Efforts in the organization help promote the profession of nursing to students through K through 12, as well as among nurses who are seeking higher degrees and continuing education. Rosa believes in lifelong learning and always encouraged us to continue our education, to pursue higher education degrees and continuing education. The Ebony Nurses Association of Tacoma awards scholarships to deserving students who are pursuing the nursing profession, and also to licensed practical nurses and registered nurses that are seeking further education. And Rosa has been instrumental in this work. She's helped us to raise funds for the scholarships, but also helped to inspire and attract students to the organization and to the nursing profession. Thank you, Rosa, for being such a wonderful role model and inspiring us all.
Hello, my name is Shirley Aiken, and I'm honored to be a part of this event recognizing Senator Dr. Rosa Franklin. Your many years of service for the state of Washington, Pierce County, and especially Tacoma are noteworthy. Thank you for all that you have done in regards to healthcare, public policy, providing leadership and guidance, mentoring, even for me, support and direction, showing compassion and caring. It is significant, Rosa. We all have benefited, the citizens. Thank you for that. This recognition is monumental, and I am so appreciative to be given the opportunity to participate. My prayers and best wishes are for you and that all that you do in the coming years. Thank you for this opportunity.
My name is Lyle Wassen. I have worked with Rosa Franklin for over 40 years in the community and in the legislature. Franklin is a teacher, a leader, a legislator, and a healthcare professional, but most of all, my friend. The University of Washington Tacoma Scholarship in her name reflects hope and opportunity for our students in our community.
Hey, Senator Rosa, I am so glad I had the opportunity to stop by to just let you know that I'm so godly proud of you. You are a mentor, you are an inspiration, you are a trailblazer, and want to say congratulations and thank you so much for all that you have done for the community and for the state of Washington. I pray many more blessings. Thank you for touching my life. I mean, since a little girl, being able to walk the floors of the House of Representatives when I was in high school, and being able to just watch you as a beautiful African-American woman, as a politician, and then also in healthcare, servicing the community. Thank you for all you've done. You've touched my life, you've touched my mother's life, and we are truly grateful. You know, there are so many young ladies that need to see an example, and you are definitely that for young ladies, even for older women, being able to see that we can achieve if we put our minds to it. God bless you many more years, and thank you for being who you are and for just touching and impacting my life. I am great because I have a you in my life. Many more years.
Thank you for those beautiful tributes. So now we'll move on to have live remarks. And because there were some people that didn't get to record tributes, so we have a little time. I know we're running just a little behind, but we have a little time for remarks. So we will go ahead and start with remarks from Dr. Kathy Tashiro from UW-Tacoma.
Thank you, Senator Franklin, for your tireless and exemplary efforts to promote equity in health and health care. I had the good fortune to work with Senator Franklin and see her advocacy and action on the Pierce County Accountable Communities of Health, now Elevate Health, an organization working to connect health system innovation and transformation efforts for low-income people at the state and local levels. As part of that work, she was very involved in promoting community health workers, which are near and dear to my heart, trusted community members, as a vital link for addressing the many health and social needs of diverse low-income people in Pierce County. Through countless committee meetings, I always knew Senator Franklin was the moral compass that would ground us in the concerns and needs of the people most in need, and also lifting up the community health workers best equipped to serve them. Thank you so much for showing up consistently, always showing up and being there and providing great guidance to me and our committees that we've served on.
Thank you. And now we'll have Rosa Franklin, her namesake.
Hello, everyone. Yes, this is Rosa Franklin, not the woman of the hour. I am her granddaughter. And, you know, following behind her is awesome because with books coming out and parks being named after her, as well as being honored with the scholarship, I'm like, Nana, we've achieved so much. But seriously, I want to thank you guys so much for allowing me to speak about my grandmother today. She's truly a role model for me and has instilled traits like strength, determination, willpower, and grit. And it's a wonder why there's so many people out there that she has touched. I recently completed my 8-week clinical here at a physical therapy clinic as I'm about to graduate with my doctorate. And every day I go in there and I leave every night, and throughout my entire life, I think about how small her shoes are. And then I think about how huge they are to fill. So, and I know that she's not just impacting me as her granddaughter and her family as well, but the community of which you guys speak of in Tacoma and the Washington state as a whole. And what's awesome to see is that through the University of Washington, the Tacoma branch, she's going to be helping future nurse practitioners who are an integral part in the healthcare community. and it expands her reach even further. And I just want to say how awesome that is. And thank you so much, you guys, for honoring my Nana with this. And congratulations, Nana. I love you so much. And thank you guys for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Rosa. So now we'll have Sharon Weinsberry.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to pay tribute to such a dear friend. And Rosa, Miss Rosa already knows how much we love her so dearly. I just wanted to quote something from Gandhi. He said, "You must be a change. You must be the change you wish to see in the world." And I'd just like to add something to that. You have been, Miss Rosa, a trailblazer, willing to take a risk and go in a path that isn't already there. You have blazed a trail and left a path for others to follow. And every time I see you, I just love your gentle, strong smile that you present. And even if there's a big crowd in the room, you'll always make your way to Cornelius and myself just to reach out and say hi, and we chat a little, and then you move on. So I thank you so much for making that path in our life for me to do what I'm able to do in this world. And I feel honored and blessed to have and live in the district of the second Black senator, Tawana Noble. So thank you so much for that. And may God bless you with many more wonderful years to come.
Thank you. Next is Lillian Hawkins.
Thank you. What a blessing to be a part of this event to give tribute to Senator Rosa Franklin. I'm Lillian Hawkins, and I was Senator Franklin's 2009 intern. But I met her prior to that when she and I were both running to become delegates for President Obama. And I knew that she was an elected official, but she didn't use that as a campaign strategy running for delegate. But she chose to. I don't think she even had to run through the party ranks to become a delegate, but she chose to. She went through the same election process that I, as a student running as the single mama for Obama, went through to get there. And that stood out to me, being for the people, by the people. So when I applied for the internship my senior year at the University of Washington, my letter of interest stated I wanted to intern for Senator Rosa Franklin, President Pro Tem of the Senate. And when I got that acceptance letter to work in her office, I was popping my collar. And that, and what has impacted me to this day is how she led in this high-ranking position. Senator Franklin, she led with love, care, and grace. She always spoke truth. She responded to her constituents. And as the intern, it wasn't me just doing like a blanket response to those who contacted her. She would read constituents' letters and handwrite responses for me to forward on. And that showed that she cares about people and the greater good. Even her legislation led by example. She was champion for economic justice and sponsored the state income tax bill, fixing our state's regressive and inequitable tax structure. She was always a champion and still is a champion for healthcare and sponsored the immunity bill that would save lives and provide immunity for anyone reporting an overdose. She led by an example. And I strive to lead like that in my leadership roles today, 12 years later, working in the courts, leading with love, leading with selflessly and gracefully. And I thank you, Senator Franklin, for the impact that you've had in my life. I'm proud when I share with people that I worked for you. And I'm thankful I have had the opportunity to learn from your brilliance. And I'm thankful I have the opportunity to share with this with you today. I pray for continued peace, love, wellness, and blessing for you and for your family in years to come. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Paula Sardinis.
Thank you so much. What just an honor to be here as a transplant to Washington, and a Black woman that considers myself to be a benefactor of all of the work from the Honorable Senator Rosa Franklin. I had the distinct pleasure of meeting her a couple of years ago at a forum where I got to hear her story. And we left that forum thinking that we should all be doing everything we can to make this community better, not just for ourselves, but for young Black women who are looking for that opportunity. And when I think about Senator Franklin, I think about a quote by Madam C.J. Walker. Don't sit down and wait for the opportunities to come. Get up and make them happen. She's been using her entire life to get up and to make something happen. Women like myself who get to advocate today, who get to pass laws to make this community better, we stand on her shoulders. We stand in her light. We honor her legacy. I am so excited that my son, who graduated this Saturday, will be attending UW Tacoma and majoring in nursing. When I found out I was going to speak today, I thought, oh my God. Senator Franklin opened up that door for my boy to be able to give back through his cause and through his heart. So thank you so much, Senator Franklin. It is an honor to honor you, to honor your family, to see your wonderful daughter, to see your beautiful granddaughter as the legacy continues. We owe a legacy and a debt to this family that every day we all need to get up and work so hard to repay. Thank you, Senator Franklin.
Thank you. I have one more or a couple more. Is Jesse Weinberry, if he is on? I'll wait a minute. Okay, he may not be on. So we'll go ahead with Diane Sosney.
Thank you, Shauna. And I'm thrilled to be here today to honor an amazing person, an amazing woman, an amazing nurse, an amazing legislator, senator, and all the roles that we've heard about and people have spoken to. I'm the president of SEIU Healthcare, 1199 Northwest, and we represent 32,000 nurses and healthcare workers throughout the state of Washington and Montana. And I had the incredible honor of working with Senator Franklin in the legislature. She was the moving force behind the Washington Center for Nursing and a staunch supporter of collective bargaining for nurses. Senator Franklin, our heartfelt thank you and tribute to your incredible legacy.
Thank you. And before we move on to Q&A, I just want to see if the Speaker of the House, Lori Jenkins, is on. I had a request from her. Okay, she must not be on. So at this time, we'll go ahead. Thank you, everybody, for your tributes. At this time, we will go ahead and transition into the Q&A with Rosa. And so I would say put your questions in the chat. I know that we may have some questions coming from the YouTube chat, but it looks like some people can't put the questions in there. So if we could go to Rosa now, and then we will ask people to come off mute. We only have a short period of time for the Q&A. So if we could ask people to come off mute to ask their questions. Okay, taking a moment. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just waiting for to see Rosa on screen here. Sorry, let's just wait just a few minutes here. Just waiting for a response.
They're waiting. Okay.
Oh, there she is.
When did I
There
get
she is. Thanks, Rosa. We know you had to take a little break. We were a little delayed. So we have a question for you. So we're now into the Q&A mode, and we have a question from the chat. Can you repeat that, Media?
When I first decided to get into politics, actually, as a participant, I volunteered actually for a lot of those who were running for office, plus the helping others. And I never really intended to run for office, but then I was urged to. So the question of when did I really get into politics was really very early, because as one who participated in an advocate, then I began to know the quote unquote politicians. And from that early experience of volunteering and working to get folks elected, and also serving as a precinct committee officer, I ran then for city council and I lost. I didn't give up. I ran for another office and I didn't give up. But then later on, a friend encouraged me and asked me to run for the State House of Representatives.
Thank you, Rosa. So we have another question. What was your biggest challenge when in office?
My biggest challenge while I was in office was
while you were in office. Mm-hmm.
It was actually working in order to, it's always a challenge working to get your legislation through. So really getting to know and working with those and getting the support, not only from my colleagues, but the support from those who were pushing for the legislation and for those in general who supported it. So that was constant work. And that's a challenge.
Thank you. There's another question from Paul Lovelady. What is some advice that you would give to your sister's grandchildren?
I'm sorry, would you repeat that, please?
What is some advice that you would give to your sister's grandchildren?
What advice that I would give to my sister?
To your sister's grandchildren? To the grandchildren of your sister?
To the grandchildren of, my advice, well, not only to my grandchildren, but to anyone who working for change is never give up, because the work is never done and it's never over. It's a consistent struggle and fight to get accomplished what you wish to make, the changes that you would like to make. And it's, as the saying goes, it's never over till it's over. So never give up. Keep working.
All right, great advice. From Leslie Kincaid, Vice Chancellor Leslie Kincaid, she asked, in your estimation, what are the greatest challenges we face today as a community in realizing your vision for health equity and racial justice?
Well, from my point of view, where we are now, with so much going on around us and the many changes that have taken place, people become distracted very easily. And to be able to keep them on focus that healthcare is not one that will come to you easily, the equity itself, that you must become focused on the issue that what we are striving for is healthcare for everyone. And that healthcare then requires that you stay focused and become committed and not give up.
Thank you. Could you have ever envisioned that you would have such an impact with your work?
No, never. That was not anything that I had ever seen in the future, because the work that I took on based on my profession and that of nursing. And when I saw, really as an adult, after graduating from nursing school and going into the profession itself and seeing what was taking place, and then not only that, through my travel, through meeting with others, through talking with others, finding out that we could do better. We were not really doing what we should in the area of justice, healthcare, and we need to do better, and we need to leave the world a little better than we found it.
Okay, and it looks like there's another question in YouTube, a family member, Robert Gordine. He asked, when you were growing up in that country house in Mock's Corner, could you envision at some point you would have such an impact that you would have had your own tribute?
My early years then actually were from the date of birth until the age of 8, that I was in that country house in South Carolina. And actually, we speak of it as Mount Storm, but actually it was in the county, in the rural area of Berkeley County. No, at that young age, but as I grew up in Georgetown, South Carolina, with my aunt and uncle, which were my second set of parents, the vision was there because that was with them, that they were active in the community, they cared about people, and I learned and saw and learned from them that you need to give back, you need to support, you need to be active in your community, and you never give up.
Thank you. And so one last question. Senator Franklin, what advice would you give the young activists today?
The advice that I give to young activists today is respect your elders, learn from those who went before you, know that you are standing on the shoulders of others, that the issues that we are facing today are not new issues, that you can learn, always learn from others. You must bring people into the fold, people that support your vision and your views, and there are many out there. You work, young activists, to bring people together, not to disperse them. People who support you and your issues, and then you move forward. What you do is you reach back, you lift as you climb, You respect your elders. You bring them into the fold and bring all so that they may have a seat at the table.
Thank you so much. So at this time, Rosa, I just wanted to congratulate you on your honor. This is a great honor. We are happy to celebrate you. We do have, as you know, the nursing fund, the Rosa Franklin Endowed Student Support Fund in your name, and just wanted to update everybody and thank everybody who gave to that fund. We had someone close the gap to our first level. Of course, we see it as a fund that will grow and we want to sustain it, because that's one of the most challenges that we have today is sustaining supporting students. So we hit 25,000 at the first level like we wanted to, and we just did that on Saturday. So it was great to report that to you. I want to report that to everybody else who are champions that have been helping with it, build this fund. The next level we're going up to will be 50,000. And then from that, of course, Dr. Janet Promomo wants to bring it up to 100,000. That way students won't have any trouble getting to become nurses like they want to. So I just wanted to share that information. I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat for the fund. I wanted to know if there were any last remarks that you had before we let you go.
But I would like to express my deepest gratitude and thanks to you, Ms. Lawson, Shauna, Dr. Janet Pomona, and to our wonderful president of nursing school, Sharon, Dr. Sharon, and to each and every one who took the time and out of their busy schedule to be present today. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. And to my family who has pushed me and stood with me and egged me on. Now, I say to my granddaughter, and now my nephew who has tuned in from North Carolina, Irvin, you have to carry the bone now. And I am so grateful, and I don't really have the words to express my thanks. Thank you all. I love you. I love each and every one of you. And Diane, all the people that I didn't get to see for so long. I want to touch you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you and I love you so much. Thanks for all you. Janet.
Thank you. And Vice Chancellor Leslie Kincaid said, leading with love, you always do. So we will let you go, and congratulations again. Thank you everybody for coming. We enjoyed you. For those who want to still send Rosa messages, I do have a kudo board. We will be sending that out to people so that they can put pictures, say statements, or whatever you want to on that. So just be looking for the kudo board link. I'll go ahead and try to put it in the chat too before you leave, but just look out for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.